Good morning and welcome to Monday's Maths, which is carrying on with our topic of statistics, which is all about data and charts, tables and graphs. And today we're going to carry on looking at pie charts, but we're also going to look at fractions and how they relate to pie charts. First things first, we're going to rewind our knowledge. Now, because today we are looking at fractions and pie charts, we're going to start off by rewinding to our fractions. So I'm going to show you a shape up on the board, and I want you to tell me what fraction does the coloured bit represent. Number one, what fraction of this shape is coloured in? Answer would be half. Half of this shape is coloured in and half of it is left blank because the shape is split into two and one of those two equal parts is shaded in. Number two, what fraction of this shape is shaded in? So this shape is split into four equal parts and one of those equal parts is coloured in. So this represents 1/4. Number three, hopefully you can tell me that this is 3/4. My shape is split into four equal parts and three of those equal parts are coloured in. Number four. This one is 1/8 and this is half of a quarter. We've taken our quarter, we've cut it into two equal parts, so we've now got 8 altogether, so this is 1/8. Number five. This one represents 1/3. And the last one, this one is 1/6 because it's half of a third. Right, if you can recognise all of those fractions of a circle, you will be able to recognise them in a pie chart. Easy peasy. Let's get started. So here's our Discover problem for today. We've got a pie chart in the corner. And we've got the mum saying, Emily is 2 months old now. She sleeps for most of the day. And by looking at my pie chart, I can see that sleeping takes up most of the pie chart and then playing and eating makes up the rest of it. So my first question is, how many segments are there in the pie chart? And why do you think there's that many? Okay, think about what the mum's saying. The mum is saying that this pie chart is about Emily's day and how long she sleeps for, plays for and eats for. So how many segments are there and why do you think that? And then what is each segment worth? Well, if you count them, there are 24 segments. Why are there 24 segments? Well, there's 24 hours in a day. So what does each segment worth? Or each segment is then worth 1 hour. So my first question for you is 1A, what fraction of the day does Emily sleep? And my second question, B, Max says, I think she spends 1/3 of each day eating. Is he correct? Pause the video, have a go. Answer time. So as we know, there's 24 segments in the pie chart and each one represents an hour. We want to know how long she's sleeping for. Well, if I look at the key, the yellow spotted one is the sleeping. So if I count those, 14 of those segments were sleeping. So that tells me that she sleeps for 14 hours. However, my answer was actually asking for the fraction. Okay, so if it's 14 out of 24 hours, we could write this as 14 over 24, 14 24ths. Can we simplify that? Yes, we can, because they both have a common factor of 2. So we can divide them both by 2. 14 divided by 2 is 7. 24 divided by 2 is 12. So we can say that Emily sleeps for 7/12 of the day. So for B, Max said that she spends 1/3 of each day eating. Well, 24, which is how many hours there are, divided by 3 would be 8. So for Max to be right, she would have to be asleep for 8 segments because that's the same as 1/3 of 24. If we look at it, eating is the red segment. So actually, she only spends 4 hours of the day eating. So she eats for 4/24ths of the day. And if you simplified that, it would be 1/6. So actually, she doesn't eat for 1/3 of the day. She only eats for 1/6 of the day. Well done if you thought that Max was incorrect. Right, think together time then. So Emily is now 2 years old. She's grown up very fast. And this is her new pie chart into how her day is divided. So I'm going to fill in the blanks. Half of Emily's time is spent something. Something of Emily's time is spent eating. And something of Emily's time is spent playing. And I would like it as fractions, please. Have a go. Right, answer time then. So half of Emily's time is spent doing what? Well, if you look at the pie chart, you can see that the yellow section is half and the yellow section is sleeping. So half of Emily's time is spent sleeping. Right, how much of Emily's time is spent eating? Well, we know that there's 24 segments and there's 1, 2, 3, 4 when she's eating. So I can write this as 4 24ths. Can we simplify that though? Yes, we can. We can divide both numbers by 4, which would be 1/6. So she spends 1/6 of her time eating. How much of her time does she spend playing then? Well, she spends 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 out of 24 hours playing. So I can write this as 8 24ths, 8 out of 24. Can I simplify it? Yes, I can. I can divide them both by 8, which would be 1/3. So she spends 1/3 of her time playing. Right then, number 2. Emily is now 6 years old. So the table shows how she spends her time. How would you fill in this pie chart and the fraction statements based on this information? So at the bottom it says 1/8 of Emily's time is spent doing what? 3/8 of her time is spent doing what? 1/4 of her time is spent doing what? And how would you fill that pie chart in? So think about it. You know how many hours it's out of, so you can write them all as a fraction really easily, and then you might need to simplify some of them. Pause it and have a go. Okay, answer time then. So first things first, we need to turn this data, if you like, into fractions. So sleeping, she spent 9 out of 24 hours sleeping. We know it's out of 24 hours because a day is 24 hours. We can simplify this to 3/8. And that was one of the sentence stems. So you can write in here, 3/8 of her time is spent sleeping. And as you can see, this is split into 8. So you can colour in 3 of them with sleeping. I've just drawn an S on mine. Eating then, she spent 3 out of 24 hours, which is the same as 1/8. So 1/8 of her time is spent eating, and I've done an E there in the pie chart to represent that 1/8 being eating. Right, playing and school, she spent the same amount of time. She spent 6 hours. So it was 6 out of 24 hours for both of them. Simplify them both by dividing them by 6. So she spends 1/4 of her time playing and 1/4 of her time at school. So that last one, 1/4 of her time is spent playing and at school. So I'm going to try and change colour pen. There we go. So I've got I'll have an orange for school. So it's 1/4. Okay, 1/4. Well, look at what's left. And I can see that is 1/4, just like we were looking at earlier when we were doing the fractions and the rewind. So that's going to be school. I'll do a SC for school. And this one's going to be school. And then for my last one, then we'll have a pink, is another 1/4. Ooh, there it is. And this one is playing. Well done if you got those right. Right then, into your workbook. So it should be page 105, fractions and pie charts 1. I think you'll find question 1 really, really easy. Just be careful on the third one. Make sure you read that properly. And then the second one, nice and easy again, but just make sure you count all of the segments. Pause it, and then we'll go through the answers. Okay, well, the horse, 1/6 of it is coloured in. For the cat, half is coloured in. We can see that nice and easy, so it spends half the day sleeping. For the boy, well, I can see it's cut into thirds, and 1/3 is shaded in, so it means he spends 1/3 asleep, so he spends 2/3 of the day awake. So the cat sleeps the most for 12 hours. Okay then, number 2. So although 32 children voted, there's only 16 segments. So each segment is worth 2 votes. Okay, you don't actually need to use that information in this particular question, but it's always useful to understand what each segment is worth. So Jamila had 5 out of the 16 segments, so her fraction is 5/16. Bella's section, she was 1 out of 16, so her fraction is 1/16. Isla had 6 of the 16 sections, which you could simplify to 3/8. And Aki had 4 out of 16 sections, and you could divide them both by 4, so he had 1/4 of the votes. Well done. Right then, second lot. So this is question 3 and question 4. Have a go. Okay then, answer time. So for question 3, Amelia thinks that the Tigers lost more games than the Bears. Well, if you look at the pie charts first of all, you can see that any games they lost is the white section. So first of all, just by looking at it, I would say that the Bears have lost more games. So I'd say Amelia's wrong. However, you've got to look at what each pie chart represents. What's the whole? So if you look underneath where it says Team Tigers, it says 48 games. So the Tigers have played 48 games and the Bears have only played 20. So this is why you've got to really make sure you know what the whole is worth first of all. So if I look at the Tigers, I can see that they've lost 1/4 of their games. Well, to work out 1/4, we divide by 4. So 48 divided by 4 is 12. So the Tigers lost 12 games. The Bears, they lost half their games, but they'd only played 20. So 20 divided by 2, half of 20 is 10. So actually, I agree with Amelia. Now I've worked it out. I think the Tigers lost 12 games, and I think the Bears only lost 10. Okay then, question 4. So for this one, there's 4 statements and there's 3 pie charts. So you need to match some of them more than once. Well, I'm going to start with the first statement, which is 21 people chose red. Okay then, I'm looking at Group A, and I can see that Group A is 24 people, and it's split into 6 segments. So 24 divided by 6 is 4, so each segment is worth 4 people. The red is 2 segments. Can't speak today. The red is 2 segments. 2 times 4 is 8, so 8 people chose it in Group A, so it's not Group A. For Group B represents 30 people, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 segments. That tells me then 30 divided by 10 is 3. Each segment is worth 3 people. So there are 7 red segments. So if each one is worth 3, 7 times 3 is 21. So I think that Group B is represented by the first statement. 21 people chose red. Second one then, 45 people chose black. Now, I didn't even do any maths with this one. I just looked at how many people each pie chart represented. So Group A represented 24, B represented 30. Now, if 45 people chose black, could that be Group A or Group B? No, because there isn't 45 people in those groups. So that one has to be Group C. And if I wanted to prove my answer, I can see that the people who chose black as their favourite colour, it was 1/4 of the people, and 1/4 of 180 is 45, because half would be 90, 1/4 would be 45. Right, 2 statements left then. 12 people did not choose yellow. Well, if I look at Group A, there was 24 people. Half did choose yellow. Half of 24 is 12. So if half did choose it, if 12 did choose it, 12 didn't choose it. So I can see that that one is correct. And the last one, 1/3 chose red. This one I can see just by looking at the pie charts. I can see that Group B, way more than 1/3 chose red. And I can see that on Group A, I can see there are 6 segments and they are split 6 segments, so 1/3 would be 2. So I can see it is Group A. But just to check, I'll look at Group B. So Group C is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, is 8 segments, and there can't be 1/3 of 8, so I know that wouldn't work. So I know that 1/3 choosing red has got to be Group A, because that shows me, when I look at it, I can see that that is 1/3 of the pie chart. Right, challenge time, if you would like to have a go at it. Okay then, so this is the challenge if you would like to have a go. If not, don't worry, you've done enough for today. Well done. If you want to have a go, perfect. Right, pause the video and have a go. Lovely. So this one is an estimating question. So as long as you are around the answers that I've got, then brilliant, okay? Because they are estimates. As long as you've got a sensible estimate, that's absolutely fine. And your estimate has to add up to 1. It has to add up to 1 whole. So I looked at the pie chart and I can see that the bird seed was almost half. I can see that cat food is just less than a quarter and dog food is around a third, but not quite. So I've decided to go into 20ths because I think if it's in 20ths, I can show that it's just less than a half, it's just more than a third, it's around a quarter, it's just less than a quarter. So I've said that bird seed would be 9/20ths because it's just under half, which would be 10. Cat food is 3/20ths because that's just under a quarter, which would have been 5/20ths. And then dog food has got to be the remaining bit. So 9/20ths add 3/20ths is 12/20ths. So dog food's got to be 8/20ths. So as long as your fractions are similar to that and they add up to 20 into one whole, that's perfect. Right, if the total sales were £300, work out the amount sold for each type of food. So I've split mine into 20ths, so I'm going to do £300 divided by 20, which is 15. If cat food is 3/20ths, I'd do 3 times 15, which is 45. Dog food was 8/20ths, so I do 8 times 15, which is 120. And for the bird food, I would do 9 times 15, which is 135. Well done if you got those correct.